So this is something I've been meaning to test, and I have just done a quick test, and I'm gonna hopefully be able to replicate it. And so essentially my railway has a bit of a dip here from a join of two boards. So I'm trying to figure out why my new last year Merchant Navy gets stuck on the dip. And I have a theory that it's the fixed rear pony truck, and I'll be testing. And that theory I'll go over. I'll be testing it against the closest thing I've got, the same design, tender, drawbar, released the same year as the Merchant Navy, which is the Winston Churchill Battle of Britain that was released last year. Now the inside dip is more severe than the outside dip. Part of that is going to be that the floor is an old house, so the floor isn't perfectly level. The other thing is the plywood isn't going to be perfect either, because there would have been some warping and things. As it's not top of the line perfect plywood, it's just typical 12mm ply. So what I'm going to do is the dip does look more severe on camera. It does the eye, it does in the flesh. So I will be using these Pico personnel as little markers so I can see roughly where the trouble is. But as I said, I think it's the fixed rear pony truck. So if you don't have perfect track and you may have a dip, there won't be much Navy might get stuck like it does for me. Right, so I'm just going to set her off. So that's the first thing I noted. Going forwards, that doesn't seem to be an issue. But when I bring her up backwards, when I brought her up backwards, there is an issue. And when I did this earlier, she gets stuck going forwards and backwards, but more often backwards, and she wouldn't be able to get unstuck. It's like quantum mechanics. It's just every time you film it or view it, there's a different result. It's really bizarre, but now she's stuck. Completely stuck. So the driving was marked with their heads. 10 out of 10 accuracy. Alright, mark roughly. That's where the front driving wheel is. That is where the rear driving wheel is. And the rear pony truck, which is there. Oh, I won't put him there yet, because if I come down and then I zoom in, it's touching the rails, which is the issue. There's no movement in it. It's an inferior design because there's no movement in it. One, it looks weird going around corners, and two, it stops the whole bloody thing moving if you want to slowly back up. So I had a Raker Coaches which I dropped off here, and I wanted this engine to slowly back up to them. I can't. And if you've got track work, which again isn't perfectly flat, you might run into the same issue. There's only a somewhat recent thing I've noticed. So I'm going to try and see if I can get her unstuck. Put the camera back on. Not on the slant. There we go. Right. I'm going to move her away. Noting the rear pony truck is there. Now again, 10 out of 10 accuracy. There we go. Right, move her away. I'm actually going to put her on the other line. A bit easier then. Right. And then use the rerailer so she's on perfectly. Take Winston Churchill facing the same direction. Are we on? We're on. Right. So just to check over the points, is she on? Yes, no flywheel in Britain's. So there's no flywheel. But she can go uphill, okay, she's going uphill, so she's slowed down. But she's got no problem. Again, fairly slow speed. There is no problem. Right. Driving wheels are down near the same wheelbase as Merchant Navy. Well, they were based on them, but so she's actually on the same position on the dip that Aberdeen Commonwealth was on. Okay, and forwards no problem. Going uphill, so she's slowing down, but it doesn't seem to be the issue. The issue is not this. It's not repeating, and the reason for that is the rear pony. Aberdeen Commonwealth is stuck again. So I show the wheels should move a little bit. They're not moving. Now they move. Not moving. There is. So if your track isn't perfectly level, you're going to have issues with the fix. You could well have issues with the fixed pony truck engines, the new and improved ones from Hornby. Whereas, I'll take up Winston Churchill, and we have a look at the rear pony. It looks fantastic. It moves, so it's up and down. There is a degree of up and down movement in it, so that helps. I think one of the drivers is sprung as well, but I think that's the same on that. But because it moves, it's free to move and follow the track, you don't have the same issues that has. Adams Radial does have difficulties along this section. That's why I've actually marked permanently problem area 3125. That little bit there. Now the ballast might fix it a bit, I'm not sure. It wasn't an issue before fixing the track, but not perfect. The mix of not perfectly flat floor, because again, old house, and not perfectly flat plywood. Just something to bear in mind, especially considering how much the Merchant Navy's cost now. You'd be much better off buying one of the older rebuilt ones, because they have the move-in rear pony truck, or buying a Battle of Britain West Country. because you won't have the same problem where you're backing up to a train, your track isn't perfectly flat, and the engine is just stuck around here, all because of the rear pony truck. I think Hornby claim it adds more detail and quote unquote more realism, but it only adds more detail really if you're having it as a static model. Because these look, we're zooming so much, I was a bit fast, but these, because they move, they follow the track properly, they actually follow it as they turn, these look better going around the track than this. And they run better despite having no flywheel, so that, the flywheel should, hypothetically help going over iffy track work, but it doesn't. That without flywheel has no problems. No. This one runs fine. My older tender coupling Battle of Britain's, which Battle of Britain and West Country should have run no problem. That runs no issues. They run with no issues. That's a King Arthur. That plane looks quite hard to see what they are exactly. And then over here, the Adams radial does have an issue on the inside line, but not the outside line. And then 473 has no trouble at all. So the only issues, because I do have any sort of issues with the dip, is this one and the Adams radials. Which is no problem for the radials, but it does look like that fixed pony truck does affect the running characteristics if you don't have perfectly flat track or perfectly smooth gradients, because this isn't smooth gradient. It does look a bit worse on camera than it actually is, because the weird lens, like 4 lenses or something silly on this phone. So otherwise, there is no issue. Otherwise, it's just a bit annoying because it means I can't back up slowly to coaches I've dropped off. Well, unless I use a Battle of Britain or a King Arthur. Be interesting to see if anyone else has issues with these fixed pony trucks causing running issues, as well as looking funny and looking wrong as they go around the corners, because it does look wrong. Because the rear wheels shouldn't hang over the track like they do. It does look weird. Otherwise, it's a fantastic model. It's just that rear pony truck, which I thought was just a cosmetic issue. No, it's not. Okay. Yeah, interesting to see. Has anyone else had issues with the Merchant Navy or any other fixed ones? So any of the new release ones were not running right. This video has dragged on way longer than I thought it would, so I will stop recording. I'll try and think of a fix. But in the meantime, I'm probably just going to keep running King Arthur on most services, a lot of it being my favourite class. So, yeah. Until I do the next video, I have no idea when that is. I still don't have a schedule yet. 2 videos in one day, but of this sort of quality. Well, until I post another one, stay safe and just keep on steaming on, I guess.